am Aaron Anderson, co-founder of Ontegrate, and with me we have...
And I'm Marcelo, also co-founder and business partner of Aaron.
Good to be here with you all today. In this episode, we have 5 reasons why integrations are more important than ever. This started as an idea that Marcelo had for a blog post, and we figured we'd jump on and talk to you a little bit about it. Marcelo, what are some of the 5 reasons?
So like Aaron said, I'm trying to write this blog post for the past couple of weeks to introduce why it is that Aaron and I got into the integration business. And to me, there's 5 really good reasons why this moment in time is the perfect time to get into the integration business. One of which is how many tools a end user will use on a given day to get their work done. I'm old enough to know that there was a time when companies would standardize on one vendor. So they would call themselves Microsoft shops. And what that meant was an entire company would use Microsoft products for their CRM, their enterprise management software, their email, their finance, accounting stuff. And the reason they did that was one, it was cheaper. These companies like Microsoft would bundle them and make it worth their while. But also there was a huge value on what Microsoft called better together, which, Aaron, what do you think better together means?
Better together probably means when you have multiple applications that are all hosted, managed, and maintained under a centralized company like Microsoft. It just made more sense because the data transferred back and forth together, and Microsoft was able to own those integration points more easily. Did I get that?
It's basically integrations.
Yeah.
They're better together because those apps under Microsoft would speak to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a huge value for that. And enterprise customers paid a premium for it. And it was the foundation of Microsoft's enterprise offering. And it was hugely valuable. Anyway, fast forward to now, there's multiple vendors. There's 5 to 10 apps on a daily basis. That's reason number 1. Integrations are hot. The integrations area is hot now because those 5 to 10 apps, they do not speak to each other. They're all from different vendors. So is that better together value still something that has value? I think so. We're betting on it, but at the same time, we see all these companies with these different tools not having them integrated. And that's because they're difficult to integrate. Microsoft used to do that for them, without them thinking about it. Now they have to actually invest in it. That's reason number 1. What do you think?
The proliferation of software, right?
If I can get into of software apps,
yes. If I can get into some examples that I think listeners that are relevant for them, I'm actually looking at merge.devs. They released a state of product integrations white paper.
What is merge.dev?
Merge.dev is an integration hosting platform. So they essentially you're able to they unify APIs together. So you connect to them once, and then you connect all your apps to them once, and then you can keep connecting them. But they have a topic. They did a wide survey, and they have the different categories that companies have built integrations with. And the top one is their CRM. So things like Salesforce, HubSpot, with 42%. So that's one of the most common integrations that their survey responders want to or have integrated with. And that's followed directly by project management and help desk. So think Zendesk, probably Monday.com, potentially like Freshdesk, Intercom, things like that at 39%. And then the next two are HRIS systems and marketing automation systems. So if you think about those four clients, you have sales, you have your support and project team, and you have your HR team and marketing team. And they're like, there's points throughout each of those. They don't all work completely. They work in silos. They have their own job descriptions, but there's important data that's transferred between them. When you close a deal, let's say in Salesforce, that deal information then needs to go to your project management team or your support team in order to start moving forward with the job or client that was just sold.
And those apps don't speak to each other out of the box, right?
No, most of them don't. There are kind of somewhat native integrations. We've messed around with a couple of them, even at our company starting to integrate. We found, I'd say, a little bit of success, maybe 20% of the time it achieves what we're looking to do. But it really doesn't, you don't get that time savings, that cost savings, that true automation without adding your own configuration. Everyone uses, like, all the users of Salesforce use it slightly differently. And so an out of the box integration doesn't necessarily apply to everyone.
So, companies today are using multiple apps from multiple vendors, and they're not integrated out of the box. Companies want to integrate them, but they haven't for a number of reasons: complexity, resources. So that's reason number one. The integration business is ripe for Aaron and Marcelo to come in and work our wonders. Reason number two: timing of the business cycle. What do I mean by that? The economy is a cycle, like seasons: winter, summer, spring, and it'll go through boom and bust seasons. Anyone reading LinkedIn right now, the media, can tell that companies are going through a leaning process. They're wanting to become more lean, to do more with less. Everyone's LinkedIn feeds are filled with layoffs. And this is just part of the business cycle. Next year or 6 months or a year and a half from now, you're going to see everyone hiring again. Oh, I just got a new job. Yay. So right now in this environment, economic environment, it is perfect for integrations. Integrations, and what WannaGreat does, is all about helping the employees at these companies who are now leaning down do more with less. Cut out the busy work. Make your tools talk to each other. Don't double entry and spend, I call it monkey work. Work tell a monkey to do. Don't do that. Integrate.
I want to talk about what it means by doing more. So we know that we've seen that there's less hands to go around because of the trend right now in the tech industry of a lot of layoffs. But what are they trying to do more of? And I think it's easy to forget, like closing new business, continuing to get high customer retention, expanding into new markets. So these are all continued goals. Like the market is not just trying to hold on for dear life. Like organizations are still trying to expand and grow and like continue to thrive. But how do you do that with significantly less resources? Marcelo,
the work is still there.
Yeah. Are there any particular industries that you're seeing that that integrations are particularly crucial for?
I mean, all industries. I mean, anywhere that you can that you're using multiple tools on a daily basis, and that definition is any office worker in any company in any industry will resonate with that. The leaning down tends to be tech companies right now, but tech companies tend to lead in the business cycle. So you'll see other industries start to try to get lean as well. So,
Okay.
that's number two reason. The business cycle and companies wanting to do more with less. I'm
Mm-hmm.
referring to my written notes. I still journal. Reason number three, there's an API revolution that has been raging for a while now. What do I mean by that? API used to be a term that was very niche. Unless you were a geek, you didn't know what it meant. Uh, Nowadays, APIs are very much part of our popular vernacular. Every platform that is serious has an API these days. Go to any of your tools that you're using and look up, put your platform's name and then say API next to it. And I bet you're going to get some kind of documentation on how you can connect with that platform. And the reason that is because they recognize what we're talking about. There's many vendors in these companies. There's many tools being used, and they need to integrate. It doesn't mean they will integrate. You still have to do the work to connect to the APIs. But the fact that the APIs are so ubiquitous these days makes it so a business like Ontegrate can do that work for the customer. I call it an open platform. I like to judge a platform on how open it is. Does it have an API? Does it integrate well with these no-code integration platforms by having an app natively in it? Those are the questions that, to me, say if it's open or not. Surprisingly, a lot of platforms are very open these days. So, reason number three, it's a great time to get into the integration business.
Yeah, can we talk about some of the challenges that some of these software providers might face when creating or maintaining or managing their APIs? So I see like whenever you see, oh, they have APIs, it's always kind of magical. It's like, ooh, like let's take a look at it. And then looking at like the API reference or the API docs are much different than actually
Yeah.
integrating it, right? And so and then once you integrate it, is the work done? Are you just done? Like you just do it one
Yeah.
time and everything
Yeah.
leaves? Like, no, you got to keep up to date. Like organizations will continue to update their APIs. They maybe an app gets discontinued. There's just things change, things continue to cycle. And so an
Mhm.
integration is not just a one time here, let me
Mhm.
build a house. It's kind of like building a house, but then you got to maintain it or else it's going to ultimately continue to fall apart.
That's a good point, Aaron. An integration is a live, living, breathing thing that needs to be nourished and cultivated. Uh, just because you hooked up some two APIs from two platforms, you can't just leave that alone.
Mm-hmm.
Deploy it and forget it. You have to monitor it. You have to every now and then troubleshoot what's going on because something might have changed on those platforms. The API themselves shouldn't break. But it depends. These are companies whose core business is not API. So like you referred to, they could be in various states of maturity. Some companies have a robust API. Others they don't know that they don't have a robust API, or that they didn't design it correctly. So you're kind of working with whatever the company was able to give you. And also companies might not know that when you come out with new versions of APIs, you should not break backward compatibility. But unless you're a big tech company, you might not know that, and you might do it by accident. Also, a lot of integrations depend on custom fields and other conditional configurations that might change on that platform. So the API doesn't necessarily change, but something in the configuration broke the integration. So you got to watch out for that.
And I
So
think
yeah.
from the tech company side as well, once you build an API, that's a pretty significant investment. But then there's the ongoing support and maintenance of that API to the customer. So the customer is going to come to you saying,
For
hey, I got
sure.
this error, or this broke, or this happened. And so now these tech companies are not only building the APIs, but they also require to have additional investments
For sure.
for that. What we do at Ontegrate is we work very closely with these technology partners that have the API, and we're able to be the first line of defense to troubleshoot for any errors, to
Hmm.
do error handling, monitoring, any maintenance that needs to happen. So that takes off a lot of work for the tech companies who might have different priorities. But it also works well with the customer because we understand their use case and we can dedicate that time. Our business is focused on the integration points, the sync between the two systems. And that's where, that's
That's a good
literally
point.
what we do. Yeah.
That's a good point. These platforms, their core business is not API.
Yeah.
Our core business is API.
Yep.
So
Yep.
cool.
Number 4.
Reason number 4 of why the integration business is perfect for now. End users are sophisticated these days. What do I mean by that? The typical office worker grew up with the internet. This was not the case when I was growing up. But the native internet technology office worker, they are a sophisticated end user. What do I mean by that? They don't put up with poorly created apps. They don't like bad user experiences, and they expect their apps to be smart and efficient. So you can imagine this end user, if they have 5 different tools and they have to manually enter data that they put over here into this other one, they're not going to have much patience for that. So to the end user and to the the IT manager supporting them, this the value and the demand for these integrations is only more important. So it's more important than ever to give the end users that expect this the integration they're expecting. So end user
Yeah.
sophistication.
Yeah, so a couple of takes that I have how this is relevant is software is continually evolving to make it easier to use in order to get you to use it more, to be as highly adopted as possible. This is the role of UX, UI designers, is to make everything as simple as possible to reduce the time and effort it takes for you to actually start using that software to realize that productivity, to find the cost savings that you were promised and guaranteed when buying these softwares. And so they invest a lot into that. And so naturally, all of us are just, our lives are becoming easier because there's a focus on making it easy. If you go back like 10, 15 years ago, when I first started at Oracle, you jump into an application and there's a lot of buttons everywhere, and it's a lot going on, and you really had to have a strong learning curve to pick up the tool, right? That's not the case nowadays. That sophistication of the actual application that you're using is expected in the integration field as well. If when someone comes to us to ask for a one-tegration, they are not expecting to learn the ins and outs of how to build it, or the complexities that we're doing behind the scenes, or the redundancy sync that we're creating to make sure that both systems are aligned. They're literally coming to us because we are that expert, and they expect high quality, low effort results. And so that's once again what we do.
Mm-hmm. And so that was end user sophistication, number 4.
Yes.
And
Number 5.
number five, why it's a good time to get into the integration business. This one, uh, so there, you have to know what an IPaaS is. IPaaS. It's integration platform as a service. That's an actual industry right now. And it's a big one. Not too big, I think it's about $1 billion total, but it's big enough and blossoming that there what is iPaaS? What is an integration platform as a service? These are those no code platforms that are trying to help end users or even IT managers integrate these tools that we're talking about. Zapier is an example of this, of an iPaaS. Make, formerly Integranet, is another one. There's a bunch of them. Every day I find out of a new one. There's Boomi is one that I'm looking at.
Trade.io. Yeah.
Trade.io. So these tools are incredible. They let you do a lot of things without having to write code and have your own infrastructure. And it's part of the reason that OneIntegrate can service our customers. I mean, we've been in business for 4 weeks, and we have everything we need to start servicing our customers. We didn't have to build everything. And the reason was these iPaaS platforms are incredible. I think the original vision of these platforms was to let end users do it, but the reality is the end users lack some technical requirements like design thinking to create the integration in a way that's going to be robust and actually work. So what I believe is these platforms are perfect for service professionals like Aaron and myself. We can do things for our end user on these platforms, and that's we actually use these platforms under the covers. So we find out what our users want to do, integrate which tool, and we'll design this workflow, and we will actually implement them using these platforms. And like the question is, oh, well, what keeps the end user from just cutting us out and doing it themselves? It's that design thinking. It's the monitoring, the making sure it's working. That's our core business, our core service. So we've done it over and over again for the past 5 years. So we can come up with that design, and we know how to implement it in a way that it won't break. So reason number 5, the proliferation of these iPaaS platforms everywhere, and integrations is becoming this industry of its own, and just making it easy for us to service customers and help them with their integrations. What do you think of that, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. When just comparing the length of, like, the average length of implementation or of an integration build for the last decade, I would say it's just keeps getting shorter and shorter every day. So every new integration project that I am involved in, the time keeps shrinking. So it started out like, oh, that's going to take 6 months. Okay, now we can actually do it in 3 months. Now it's 2 months. Now it's 2 weeks. So we have definitely like the end user, the customers that we're working with, they're getting a lot of value because they don't have to make as significant of a time and financial investment to hire a bunch of resources to connect all these things and spend all this investment in it. They can do it. They can leverage us to be able to create that much faster, much more efficiently. So I think everyone is benefiting from this revolution of the 5 ways as to why integrations are more relevant than ever.
And so to recap, what were the 5 ways?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I wrote them down. So, okay, I'll try to remember. Yeah, number 1, proliferation of software. So a ton of software tools.
Proliferation of software apps and different vendors.
Software apps, yes, that aren't currently natively talking. Number 2, business cycle. So the evolution of wanting to do more, continue to grow, expand, thrive your business, but with fewer resources behind the scenes. Number 3, I'm gonna cheat. The API revolution. Yep. So everyone is looking, or like a lot of these tech companies know how important it is to have APIs in order to, and they do, yeah. And so everyone has it. Can I make a side comment on that really quick?
Yeah.
The amount of new features that I have been able to uncover from using an API that wasn't originally part of like the original like technology is wild. Like once you're able to connect, like start using these API tools, you can just literally create new features within an application that talk to each other and trigger these automations. So yeah, incredibly powerful.
Number 4.
For end user sophistication. So we're everyone's pretty smart. We want a smooth, painless experience, and we all can do our due diligence and our research. And yeah, we're all pretty smart.
And number 5.
The the no code iPaaS industry, definitely making huge waves and changes in the market. Really, everyone's winning at this point, and we're just really happy and excited to be a part of it.
And this is why we got into this business. One to Great came from not only us working together on integrations for the past 5 years, but it just came together. The moment is right for us to start this business and be able to service our customers with exceptional value. So we're super excited. We're on 5th week, I think, 4th or 5th week.
Yeah.
Closed a couple customers already, so we're well on our way.
Built a number of integrations already. Really excited to show you more details about some of the application and systems that we're connecting. If you're still listening to us and watching us, make sure to give us a little like or subscribe or follow wherever you're watching this. But it's always a pleasure chatting with you, Marcelo, and getting to teach a little bit of something and learn something along the way as well.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah. All right, everyone. See you next time.